Hey guys, how's it going? Joshua Crisp here. Today I want to give you guys a couple of tips that will help you out in your endeavor to start your Amazon business and grow your Amazon business. Now, these tips that I'm going to give you are applicable in really in life in general, as well as any other different type of business that you may currently be in or be contemplating on starting. So, before we dive right in, I want to go ahead and make a brief disclaimer. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have a background or a degree in finance. I'm not a certified public accountant. I'm not a CPA. I don't have any type of special degree. This is just off of the last 4 or 5 years that I've been on my entrepreneurship, endeavors, and as being an entrepreneur through the last 4 or 5 years, things that I've learned, two big things that I've learned, and tips that I want to pass on to you guys. All right. So with that being said, stay tuned, and we're gonna dive right in. All right, guys, we're back. So, before I unleash these two ginormous sized golden nuggets released from the ass of the mother goose herself, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and click the notification bell right next to the subscribe. This way you're notified when I release new videos, which I am dropping new videos every day. So if you want a nugget a day and you want a bunch of free awesome content, make sure you do that. Let's start with number one. Now this is kind of a no-brainer, but a lot of people hesitate, and every day you hesitate, it's going to cost you. And this is creating your entity, actually classifying, starting, and registering your business. Now, when you're starting out, you may not already be in the process, and you may be contemplating or studying, learning, and wanting to become an entrepreneur. When you're starting out, this is super important. Now, you don't have to go out and spend $100, $200 creating an LLC hire a fancy lawyer and start creating an S Corp and all this fancy stuff. You can start out with what's called a DBA. That stands for doing business as. You can go to your county recorder's office. It's usually in the courthouse or next to the courthouse, but it's really close to the courthouse usually. You can Google it and find it for your location, and go to that office, the county recorder's office, and tell them that you want to start a new business. They're going to give you a one-page form. It's going to ask you a couple questions: what type of business, what the business name is, etc. And then you give them $10. In my state, it's $10. It might be 15, might be 20, but I don't see it being over $20, depending on where you live. Look into that. But, you give them $20 and you're done. What happens is the recorder's office actually signs it, and then they notarize it. And voila, you are a DBA. So, doing business as. So, it would be the name of your business, DBA, then your name. Okay? So, the day that you get that stamp and you get that recorded and you file it with your state, you are legitimate. Now, you may be asking yourself, am I going to get an EIN number? How am I going to file my taxes? What am I going to use? When you do this DBA and when you file a DBA and create a DBA, you use your social security number. All right, so it's that easy. The reason why I'm saying this is important is because when you take the plunge and become an entrepreneur and you show what's called, self-employment, personal income, the ball turns. The failure rate for self-employed people are much higher than somebody who's just a brainless idiot that goes and works for someone else. Now, if you have a job, I love you. I'm not saying you're a brainless idiot. I take that back. But if you work for somebody else, typically to get any type of loan or anything like that from a financial institution, they're going to require a lot less. Usually they're going to require you to make a lot less money. They're only going to require, 3 to 6 months worth of income, and so on and so forth. When you become self-employed, and you show that for your income, they're going to want to see that you've been in business for at least a year to 2 years, depending on what you're trying to do. And when you grow this business, you're going to want to be able to take out a line of credit for your business to help your business grow, or possibly get credit cards for your business, or even on the personal side, get a mortgage for a house or get a conventional loan for an investment property, etc. So it's very important that you start this track record immediately. Along the side of that, you have to be a legitimate business to sell on Amazon. As well as anything else, you can get away with selling on eBay without being a legitimate business. But when they hit you with the 1099 at the end of the year for your earned, for your capital gains, you have to pay taxes on that, and then you're going to be in a night. It's going to be a big headache because you don't have a classification and all that good stuff. That's another video. So going back to what we were saying, start that off early. All right. Let's see here, DBA. Yeah, it's just super important. Like going back to the finances. Like I had a problem. I'm sure you guys seen my video where I tried to get a mortgage for an investment property. They wouldn't give it to me. I had a lot of money in the bank. I even had decent credit, but because I didn't have 2 years for a mortgage, they require 2 years if you're self-employed. So they want to see 2 years worth of taxes. So a total 8 quarters worth of taxes paid, and a minimum of 6 months of stable income. Not that you're just pulling dividends here and there and everything's going to the business. They don't want to hear that. They want to see a stable salary, as well as the 8 quarters of taxes being paid. That's the main thing with the government. They want to make sure they get theirs. They want to make sure that you are an asset and not a liability. That brings me into step number 2. Okay, after you get that classified and you get that started, and you have your business, your DBA. If you have a little bit more money, start with the LLC. But do a little bit more research on that. Like I said, I'm not a certified financial advisor or anything. I'm just telling you guys from my personal experience. And I wish somebody would have told me this, because I spent thousands of dollars on lawyers and on an accountant and a bookkeeper trying to go through my clusterfuck of PayPal income from eBay and my clusterfuck of 1099s from, everywhere, all these different businesses on sale. Anything that you make a capital gain on, you have to pay taxes. That's the game. I was focused about growing the business and trying not to become homeless or go back to being homeless. That shit was far from my mind, and a lot of entrepreneurs it is. But I'm here to tell you guys, to keep that in your mind, and if you start off on the right track, it'll save you guys a world of a headache. So, not to get sidetracked. Step number 2. If you don't already have credit, okay, make sure that you work on building credit immediately. Now, when I say don't already have credit, see, this was the boat that I was in. I wasn't in student debt. I didn't have any debt. I didn't have, bankruptcies or foreclosures or anything like that. I just had what's called zero debt, basically. I had zero debt. I had zero credit because of it. See, what happens is if you don't place yourself in debt, you will never start to accumulate a track record or develop a credit score. And believe me, a zero credit score, being that you've never been late on anything, you've never took out any debt on anything, no car loans, student loans, etc., is just as detrimental to what you're trying to do as negative debt. Okay? So, it doesn't take, a lot of people think that and this is the stupid mistake I made once again, because I didn't have a mentor, I didn't have somebody to show me. The thing, you're going to read it all over the internet and the bank's going to tell you, and you think the bank's there to help you, but they don't give a fuck about you. What they care about is their commission, their interest rates, their incentives, their bonus trip to Hawaii and all that bullshit. Don't trust those motherfuckers. Sorry if you work at a bank. I love you. Stay subscribed. Don't unsubscribe. I'm watching. I know my subscribe count. I watch it daily. What they're going to tell you at the bank is you need to get one of 3 things, rather a mortgage, rather a student loan, or rather a auto loan. These are some of the 3 things. This is how banks make money, is off of the interest that they're going to make on these loans. And a lot of people know student loans, you cannot bankrupt from a student loan. It will follow you around like a fucking ghost your entire life. So what we did is we got a auto loan. Now, why are you getting the auto loan? Because you want to build credit. And me, I had the money to buy a vehicle cash. I had two vehicles at the time, but I wasn't going to go to school and we didn't need anything else. And I didn't want to buy a house. I didn't want to tie up capital. So that was the only thing. We bought a newer vehicle. We didn't have credit. So the APR, the interest on the loan was astronomical. It was like 20%. The amount that was actually going to principal was barely anything. And they fucked us. We had to put several $1,000s down. Our payment monthly was high as shit. They screwed us with you have to have full coverage insurance if you don't own your vehicle. That's expensive as shit. And long story short, it fucked us. I didn't need the vehicle. I bought it because I thought that was the right thing to do to build credit. It fucked us. It was in my wife's name because she was working at the time. I had just started becoming an entrepreneur. I didn't have the track record, and now my credit is almost an 800, and hers is still at a 650. So big difference. And I never put myself in debt nowhere near what she did for that car. So don't do that. I don't recommend do that. I'm going to tell you how to establish credit with a little bit of money. The best way, and like I said, I'm not certified. I'm not a financial advisor. This is my recommendation to you, my friend, is go to your bank, go to a local small credit union, and start what's called they're all called different things. Some of them are called credit starter packages. Some of them are called credit accounts. What it is basically is you put a certain amount of money into an account, and then what happens is they put that into like an escrow account where you can't touch it, and then they give you a debit card to access the money that you put in. So let's say I have $500. I put it in this account. They give me a debit card with a limit of $500. Whatever I spend, I pay monthly, and that gets released. Now I pay them a small interest rate. Now the interest rate might be 5, might be 10, might be 15, might be 20%, but it's going to be a lot better than what it would be if you were to go get a auto loan, or if you were to go try to get one of these janky credit card companies that send you shit in the mail when you have no credit because they're scumbag sharks and they want to screw you, and the APR is like 30%. And there's a bunch of fine print. Don't do that. Go to the bank, go to a local small credit union, and start that. Another way to do it that I recommend is the what's called a secured credit card. I got mine through Capital One. At the time, the initial amount required was $200. So what happens is it's the same theory, same method. You give Capital One $200. They give you a credit card. And I said debit card before. I'm sorry, it's a credit card. They give you a credit card with access to your $200. So you're paying, they're making money. They're making interest off money that you're giving them. But it's not as bad as getting screwed like the other methods that I mentioned. So you give Capital One the $200. They give you a credit card in exchange. They have their interest rate. But here's the thing. With the Capital One, it was 0% interest if you pay off the total monthly. And they still report to the major, the Equifax and TransUnion and all that shit. So it helps to build it up. And if you don't roll over a balance, you're not going to pay that interest no matter what the interest is. So, I recommend rolling a little bit over, but not enough to where they're going to dick you with the interest rate. So, and there's a lot of biased opinions on the percentage. I personally do not go over 20%. So if your line of credit is $200, okay, 20% would be $40. I had to think about that and make sure I didn't embarrass myself because I can't do math. 20% of $200 would be $40. So don't go over $40 monthly. Use it once or twice to get lunch, or use it once or twice for your gas, and pay it off. Now, if you want to utilize 20% and you want to pay off 15%, leave 5% to roll over, it's up to you. I'm not going to advise you what to do, but that's the criteria I use. That's what I use. Like I said, my credit's A1. I get extremely low interest. on any investment that I want to do, any line of credit that I need to extend to my business, and etc. We're not going to get into that. If you guys want to know a little bit more about how I use that, and I use that as leverage to grow my business, drop it in the comments below and I'll try to make some videos. I don't want to get into the finance world because I'm not authorized to do that, and I don't want a bunch of CPA and people going to college coming in here shitting on me on my channel. But I'm just really trying to give you guys some pure good content, and those are two big things that I didn't know. I didn't start to develop credit or start the entity to almost 6 months running the business, and then I was screwed. And I got to the point where I become successful and I got the money to make investments and I know where I want to take my business, but they don't care how much money you have in the bank. They don't give a shit. All they care about is your credit, and all they care about is your track record paying taxes, as well as that stable check every week, whether it's bi-weekly, however you pay yourself. So start doing that. Even if you plan on reinvesting all the money, give yourself a salary, okay, weekly, bi-weekly. Pay the taxes. That's what they want. There's no way around it. I'm not going to show you guys how to screw the government. Pay the taxes that they want, then put the money back in the account or in a separate account and still utilize it. I do it. There's no way around it. Uncle Sam needs his. So that's 2 ways, guys, 2 big things that if you are an entrepreneur or you want to become an entrepreneur, the 2 first things that you want to do, it's huge. It will help you guys out a lot in the long run. You can thank me later. If you're an entrepreneur and you didn't do these 2 things or you didn't think about them, start now. It's never too late. It doesn't matter if you're 18 years old or if you're 65 years old, you can implement these strategies. The age does not matter. Of course, if you're under the age of 18, if you're 16 or 17, you can't go and start establishing credit. You need to be on a co-account. So ask your parents. Say, hey, I have $200. Can you open this secured credit card and put me on it, until you get 18, and then you can do it your own. That way, when you get 18, you can do this. You're already ahead of all the rest of your friends. So, I hope this helps you guys. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you guys thought this video was helpful, give it a like, thumbs up. And if you guys have any ideas or anything that you guys want to know my angle on or how I do, drop it in the comments below. That's how I come up with a lot of my videos, is from my students, my friends, or the community asking me on one of my social media platforms, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. So until next time, guys.